Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Melody McAllister, and I am with guest author Abigail Edmunds and her book, I Can Just Not Like You. You can find my weekly book chat on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and you can also catch the replays there. I'd also like to give a shout out to the Alice Keeler Teacher Tech and Thrive in Edu Facebook communities. Tonight's story is an important one to tell. Historically, many children rarely, if ever, see themselves in books. Tonight's guest author is changing that. Her book, told through beautiful illustrations and through a poetic flow, is a welcome to many children who don't normally feel represented, and I can't wait for her to share her story with us tonight. Abigail, how are you doing, and can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Hi, Melody. I'm doing great. I just want to thank you so much for having me on your show tonight. I'm so excited. So, my name is Abigail Edmunds, and I am from the beautiful island of St. Lucia. And I grew up in a huge family. I have five brothers and five sisters. And so, my dad, he is visually impaired, and most of my siblings are also visually impaired. So, I grew up in that community and I saw my siblings navigate through life and challenges and overcoming so many things that if wasn't for tenacity and the love of my parents and that vision they had for them, I don't know where they would be. But thank God that we had that strong foundation to really help them just get through life. So I've been around the visually impaired community my entire life, and that was one of the things that really inspired me to focus on children with physical disabilities and write a book about it to showcase their abilities, even if they might have these deficiencies.
Wow, that is incredible. I mean, it's just an incredible background. I don't get to talk a lot with people coming with your background. And so you're also an educator.
I am also a special education teacher. I got my master's degree in early childhood special education. So this is right up my alley. But one of the interesting things is that I work with students one on one. And as an educator, we don't see a lot of, especially in New York, I don't see a lot of children with physical disabilities because it's not really considered special education. We focus more on cognitive disabilities, and that's how those students are able to get the services that I provide for them. So even though I don't work with children with physical disabilities because of my background growing up and also just my educational background, I just fused the two, and voila.
Yeah, no, this is incredible. I'm so glad you're here tonight. So tell us a little bit more about like we know what inspired you, but like tell us about your writing process too, because I'm curious, was this story sitting in your brain for a long time? How did you finally get it out?
Honestly, I always knew that I wanted to write a book, and it was just something that I woke up one morning and it was just like, write the book. And I literally grabbed my phone and it just started to flow. Like, this book took me 20 minutes to complete.
Wow.
And I wanted to stick to the original as much as possible. So when we went through editing, there was not a lot that was changed because it was just brewing in my mind for so long. So everything was already there, I guess, subconsciously. And then when the time was right, I just laid it all out on paper. So that part was very easy to get through. And then, everything else with, finding a publisher. One of my best friends, Kashama Leo, is my publisher.
Hey, Kashama. Did you see her book in the back? Oh, in the background right there.
Yeah.
Yes. And Facebook user, I don't know who this is, but they want your book, Abigail. So tell us who you are because we're not seeing your face. It just says Facebook user. But yeah, you will definitely want this book. And I love that you're saying that it was sitting in your brain for so long, but you wrote it in a poem. Was that also in your brain?
I love rhyming. Every time I write a poem, and I love writing poetry, it's always just this flow, like the cadence, and like it just has this melodic like feeling to it. And I think it's very catchy for children also, right? Mary had a little lamb whose feet was white as snow.
Yes.
Right? Like, kids love rhyming words and rhyming phrases. So I thought, to captivate the readers, who are my kids, that I would make it more fun and engaging to make it more of a poetic feel.
Definitely. And I'm pretty sure that this month is like the month of poetry or National Poetry Month or something. And this is so cool. So, Abigail, this is my friend Dr. Joy. It doesn't say her name on the Facebook or whatever, but she's also an author. And so that is so cool that she's joining us tonight. Thank you, Dr. Joy, for joining us. And you definitely want to have this book. I Can Just Not Like You. I love that so much. And so when you found the publisher, which is Sandcastle, I'm actually going to drop the link. What was the process like when you were sharing your story? What are some of the edits that you needed to make? I'm always interested in that because people are watching that like are budding authors.
So I guess with like writing stories that have, that rhyming, the rhymes going on, you want to have these like beats. So it has to be like this. So if there's like too many words in the sentence, it kind of puts it off. So you might have to change the words, make it shorter, use economy of language to try to get, that rhyme going. So it's like a rhapsody kind of, right? So you don't want to have too many words or too little words. You want to keep that beat while you're writing. So that's something to think about when you're writing a book with rhyming words. So.
Did you have to change too much of that up when you were editing?
No, really was probably like 3 or 4 changes with the editing.
Awesome. That's great. And your BFF is watching. So Kay, it's great to see you. I hope you see your book. And actually Kay was an author with me last spring. And so this is really cool and that was her first book that you see behind here, or I'm in the opposite way. So I keep doing it wrong.
You got it. No.
So this is so cool that now you're the third book from Sandcastle Book. Yes,
I am.
Wonderful. And I flashed this on the screen. So Dr. Joy and anybody else who's watching, go to sandcastlebook.com and check out this book. It's amazing. I love that. And how did you find your illustrator? Tell us, because this is very colorful. And I don't know if you purposely did this, but I feel like you represented as many people as you could. I noticed the rainbow in there, not just children with disabilities, but like I tell us what was behind all of the illustrations.
Well, again, Kay, hands down, the best. I was going to do the shortcut because all I was thinking is I want to get this book out. So I wasn't too keen on the illustrations. I'm just like, let's focus on the words. Let's get the message out there. How can children show equity, tolerance, and inclusion in the classroom or when they meet other children with disabilities? So that was my focus. And I went to Fiverr.
Yeah.
Hurts my heart. And I picked a random illustrator. And listen, I wish I could show you the juxtaposition of what I had and Kay's vision. She's like, Abby, I love you, but yeah, no, that's not it. So we used one of the best illustrators you'll ever find out there, Nana. She was just so patient. She saw the vision. She was engaged. Like, it was such an amazing process working with her because she really understood the message behind the book and she just brought everything to life. So the characters in there, like I said, they're my nieces and my nephew. So I took their photographs and she illustrated the photographs, which is
wow,
so cool.
That is so cool. And I think it's cool that you had somebody do the illustrations and then Kay came and said, no. I mean, that's her job, number one, as the publisher and editor. And number two, the vision that she had, that's beautiful. And it's kind of like it just builds onto your experience. And so really cool. I don't know if you saw this, but you have fans that are saying, hey.
Hi,
yeah. So thank you all for joining us. This is so cool.
Sister.
Yes, it is so cool. Very good. So are you ready to do a little bit of the reading?
Yes, I will give you guys a sneak peek into. And I'm going to go to we're just going to start with the first page, which is the introduction. And in this introduction, we have my niece, who is my sister, who just commented, that's a daughter. And she's saying, the world is filled with boys and girls who are different from you. So come along and read with me as I introduce you to a few. So this is telling us, hey guys, I'm going to introduce you to some of my friends. And here we have my lovely niece, Sadie. She's so adorable. And she's saying, When I read, I use my fingers instead of my eyes. I feel the words on the pages and the stories come alive. At first, it was tricky to read. I did not want to fail. But now I am so good at reading all my books in Braille. That's it, Melody.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. And how has Sadie responded being in the book?
She says, I feel so good, not just good, so good. So she's excited about it that her picture is actually in there. So
Is this book also in Braille, or is that something in the future that's
that's
coming?
something in the future. So we do have a resource page in the back where we have the American Sign Language Braille.
Yes, I saw that. Yes.
Braille alphabet. So the goal is to actually have the authenticity of having those bumps in the.
Mhm.
We just didn't have. We were trying to figure it out, but for
It's okay.
printing,
It's wonderful. I look forward to it happening. That is so cool. And Kay says, this is great. I didn't want to hurt her feelings, but I was honest, so we're grateful. You know what? When you're writing a book, feelings can get hurt. It is hard to get feedback at times, but honestly, it's usually the feedback from people that care about us and want to see us succeed that matters the most. They're not looking to hurt our feelings. How did you feel when she gave you feedback?
She said it in the nicest way possible. Like I was so happy that she said it, and she was like so concerned. Like, how do I break this to Abby? I don't know how to say it. And she was days passed. She's like, Abby, I have something to. And when she said it, I was like, girl, really? Like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Like, it was such, she said it in the nicest way. So I couldn't.
Awesome. Before I ask you what's next, tell us a little bit about your illustrator, Nana. How did you guys meet her? Because she did a wonderful job. These are truly beautiful.
Yeah. So I met her through Kay, and she's not in the US. So, like, there was a time difference, and it was a lot of back and forth with emailing. And she sketched everything by hand. And then she would send us the sketches, and then we would go through it together and say, maybe we should change this, change that. And then send her the changes, and then she would do it again and sketch until we were satisfied. And then she would put the colors in there. It was just so amazing to see those sketches in color. It was like, oh my gosh. So
I love the colors. I don't know if you can tell, but I tried to match the book tonight. I was like, I try to do that as much as possible, but I love these colors. It couldn't be more perfect for this season. You know, Kay, did you see your book? Everything goes with the Easter theme. So it worked out great for me. So when you were doing this back and forth with your illustrator, was that the longest part of the process of writing the book?
That was the longest part of getting the book. Well, besides, the printing and getting the books here physically, but just the writing process, it took us it wasn't that long, but I guess both Kay and I are very particular and nuanced. So we really wanted to make sure everything that we were seeing in our heads was being depicted on the picture, in the pictures, because it really does matter.
Right.
A simple thing could just, throw the whole thing off. So we were very intentional with how we wanted out the end product to be. And she delivered. Nana delivered. So we're so happy with how it turned out.
I love that. And so what has the feedback been like since you've published, and what have you been doing? Have you been sharing the story with schools, or what have you been up to?
Yeah, so the feedback has been incredible. I mean, I have some of my kids who bought my book from my school that I teach, and they're like, Miss E, I go to bed with your book at night. And the little girl, she's a little brown girl, and she said, Miss E, this girl looks just like me. And she was so excited. And it's these things, and just getting videos from parents sending me the kids reading, and they're so engaged and they're so happy, and just melts my heart. I'm like, this is exactly what I was hoping my book would do. So I'm just so excited that it's actually impacting children in such a positive way. And even adults, they're telling me, like, yes, I need to be more cognizant of how I speak to children with disabilities, or like what is the vernacular or the verbiage. And, it's just a conversation starter, and for us to educate ourselves and do better.
Oh, I love that you said that. And it's so important. And we don't have enough of these books in our schools or in the hands of our children. And everybody needs to be reading this. And it does start the conversation. And it starts it when kids are little. So it's just, it's great to get them aware of this when they're young. And so it's not like a crazy experience when they see somebody different from them, outside of their home. It's something that you can talk about with your kids. That's why I love it so much. Also, I'm a fan of poetry, so it was beautiful. I'm so glad. Tell us, what's next for you?
Well, I want to expand on this book. So I'm going to explore the characters in a deeper way. So Sadie, look out for Sadie because she's a firecracker, okay? And Saray and Jacob, and Adam, they're also coming with their own experiences and their own stories. So that's the plan, is to just have a series expanding on the three characters in the book.
I love that. And Sadie, if you are listening tonight, look at you. You're the star. That is so wonderful. Are all of the characters in your book, are they family or friends that you know?
Yes. So this is my niece, Sadie. This is my niece, she's the narrator. This is Adam, and this is Saray. She's the last of all my nieces and nephews.
Oh, that is beautiful. What about your siblings? What have they told you?
They're so proud. They're so proud of me. And I mean, they show me love. And, for my sister, especially, who, she's visually impaired and she had to go to boarding school away from my parents when she was a child because there was no school for the blind in St. Lucia. And it was just such a difficult situation for her. So I want kids to really understand that children who are blind, they see the world differently. They have so many challenges. So we have to be kind. We have to show love and empathy toward them. So
definitely. And they see the world. That's the thing. And that's in your title. They do see the world. They just see it different. And I think that sometimes we think that others think that, like, we just, we don't really give them the space in our minds and our knowledge to know that they're still experiencing something very rich and beautiful. It's just different. And then we need to also give them the space to tell us about that and to share with us. So we talked about Sadie. What's been the feedback from your other nieces and nephews?
Well, Saray, she's only 2. In the book, I said she was 4. She's only 2. And Adam, he's 11. No, he's 12. So, he's like preteen. Yeah. But my niece, she's so, so, so excited that she's in there. She called me. She's like, Auntie Abby, I'm so happy. I can't wait to get the book. I'm so excited. Like, I can't believe you put me in the book. And, she's very proud that, and then I have my other nieces who were not depicted coming for me. Like,
oh.
And I said, guys, I'm so sorry. It was random. I promise it was random. It's not favoritism happening here, but I have a niece, Aisha. She's very outspoken, and she told me, next book, I need to be in there. So,
okay, Aisha, I'm with you. Like, you need to be in there, yes. And maybe Aisha can help you write it.
Good idea.
Yeah. And so I saw that you dedicated this, and I love the dedications the most. I mean, it's a very personal thing for authors, but you dedicated this to your parents.
Yes, they are my world, my rock. They sacrificed so much for all their children, and I know it wasn't easy. So it was a no-brainer. I had to dedicate it to them, because if it weren't for them, I wouldn't be where I am today. And, they gave me so much, like, education-wise, and just provided for me. And always, my dad he's like my biggest fan, and he always pushes me. He always supports me. He's always has words of encouragement, telling me I can do whatever I set my mind to. And he's an example of that. He's visually impaired, and he's traveled the world, and he never let anything stop him. So when he says I can do it, he's already shown me that I can do it. So I love them so much. So,
oh my gosh, you just gave me goosebumps. That's amazing. I love that. And they did a very, very good job. I just want to give them a moment. Great job to the Edmunds. Just so wonderful. And so I know that you said more books are coming up, and they're all going to be based on the individual characters that we see. And do you do like any book readings for schools, or do you travel? What's that? How do people get a hold of you?
So you guys could always hit me up on Instagram, send me a DM, or Facebook. So going to different schools, doing read alouds, different events where I could sit with kids and have that conversation around children with disabilities and how we interact with them when we do come into contact with them.
Awesome. And is Instagram pretty much the best way to contact you?
Facebook.
Oh, Facebook. Okay. And let me put that link up again. I'll put that link. And so definitely go and like, were you big on social media before you wrote your book?
Well, I use Facebook way more because that's what my parents and siblings use.
Okay, okay. Yeah. And
Definitely.
so have you got to read this to the kids in your school that you teach at?
I did. I did a read aloud with my third, fourth, and fifth graders, and I did one with my second graders. And my second graders impressed me so much. When I asked the question, let's pretend that the principal brings a child who is blind into your classroom and says, "This is our new student. How would you react?" And then they said things like, they were so insightful. They said, "I would treat her the way I would treat everybody else." And then one of the students said, "I would treat her the way I would want to be treated." And it was the most amazing experience, just seeing them, think that way, just like have a change of mindset. And it was worth
Yeah,
it.
I think that we underestimate a lot of young people, and their honesty and their compassion is so real, and something that we need to tap in more often. They're not jaded like the rest of us, and so it is so pure. That's beautiful. So to your students, I am amazed. And I want to say personally, I'm an educator as well. Like, this is great. This book, and it's not long, but you can actually do so many follow-up activities with it. I'm thinking a Socratic seminar,
Mhm.
this would be a great way to introduce poetry, but also story and all of the social emotional learning that goes with it. So, yes, as a mom and as an educator, I'm like 5 stars, 5 stars. And so you're not on Amazon. People have to go to sandcastlebook.com to buy you. Yes?
We will be on Amazon soon, but yes, we're only selling at sandcastlebook.com for now. And then once we expand, definitely those links will be updated as we
Yeah, I
go.
know. Hey, that's okay. I know a lot of people who aren't too hip on Amazon, so they'll be glad to support a small business more than anything. So I'm going to put that link up here. And I just want to say to all my educator friends that are listening, this is a great book to have, add to your personal or your professional library. There's lots of ideas that can come, lots of lessons that can be extended from this. And you, like you said, and I'm going to show again, you have the ASL
Mhm.
resource in the back, but you also have the Braille. That is cool.
Yeah,
That's very different.
it is.
We have a comment coming in. Kay says, "Yes, this book came to be used in so many ways." Oh, yes, is it canon? I feel like I've had a little tears, so my mascara is running a little bit. But yes, and so I am just so proud to know you, and I hope to follow you in all of your work. When you do write your next books, I hope you'll come back on the show and share that with us. And I ask everybody, just here, I'm going to flash your. Here we go. If you want to get a hold of Abigail, you can go to facebook.com/abigail.edmonds1 or go to her Instagram at Kiki Abby. Is that aunt? Is that like auntie?
It's my middle name, which I will not say.
Oh, okay, 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 cool. I didn't know. That is really cool. So find her, follow her, and I applaud you for this. And before we leave, I always try to ask our guests, like, do you have anything you'd like to say before we say goodbye?
I just want to say thank you. This experience of, just having something in your head and then having it tangible, it's in front of you. And again, I see it as an educational resource that could be used in so many different ways in the classroom. It could be used in community centers. It could be used for parents to speak to their children about this topic, and for teachers to have this conversation with the children. And like you said, at a younger age, so that way when they do come into contact with other people, they already know, what's appropriate and how to be, sensitive, and at the same time still find those commonalities. Because again, these children who are depicted in the book, they are able to do things that we do, but they're doing it in their own way and they're being successful. And that's the message behind this book, is that let's not limit people because of their physical or cognitive disabilities. Let's see what they can do and help build them up.
Hmm. I love that. That is beautiful. And also follow Sandcastle Books on IG. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Kay. This is yes. No, thank you. Thank you, ladies, so much for sending me this book. It's beautiful. I'm so proud to have it. And it's a great addition to my library. And my kids, we talk about book chats all the time. We talk about what they're reading. And so this is perfect for every single one of them. And even for adults, it touched me, and I know that it will touch others. And I love that you said it's a conversation starter, and it's a way to say, hey, everybody experiences life. It may be different, but their life is rich and it is very valuable. So I love that. Well, thank you so much. And if you and leave the reviews, I will say as an author, tell these authors how much you love their books. That's so important. But until then, I will see you guys. Have a great, if you celebrate Easter, have a wonderful holiday this weekend. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. Bye, everybody.